Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mariah and I talk about books and bookish things on my channel. If you're returning, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm really happy to see all of you and I hope your Thanksgiving holiday, if you're in the US, went well. With minimal amounts of political talk, or you changed somebody's mind. If not, I hope there's plenty of wine to ease the blow. Today we're going to be doing my TBRnium TBR game. This is the last iteration of my TBRnium game. I have designed a brand new game for 2021 inspired by Betrayal at Hill House, which is a horror exploration board game that my friends Julia and Evan introduced me and my husband to, and I'm 100% obsessed with it. Not even low-key obsessed, like actually obsessed. I had to tweak some things to make it more friendly, but I think you guys are gonna like it. And I will detail that more in my January TBR game video. In the meantime, here is the first roll for my TBRnium game. So the first roll was a non-fiction, and it was history, and I chose Slavery by Another Name, The Re-Enslavement of Black Americans from the Civil War to World War II by Douglas A. Blackman. It's a historical expose about the laws that were put into place that led to a lot of the issues that we are facing today in the Black Lives Matter, including the controversy surrounding the 13th Amendment and the legal loopholes that people were able to exploit to essentially get free labor from the Black community. So I started this, as you can see, I started tabbing it. I started this a while ago and wasn't able to finish it, so I'm really looking forward to picking it up again in December and making my way through it. It is a tough read, but it is well written, and I'm really looking forward to reading more of this. The next roll was my TBR jar roll. And if I'm being 100% honest, my TBR jar has grown out of control, and it's now in a Mass Effect ammo can that I got in a loot crate 4 years ago. Probably longer than that. So we're not doing that on camera for now. And in the meantime, I can assure you I pulled Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, which tells the story of a girl named Bree who goes away to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill's resident program, and her very first night on campus she's attacked by a flying demon, and she discovers a society known as Legendborn, and the Legendborn doesn't do well against the demon, but she does, and this reveals her own unique brand of magic. As she discovers more about the secret society at her school, she realizes that one of their members was at the hospital when her mother died. So realizing there's more to her mother's death than the police report says, she recruits another self-exiled Legendborn who has his own agenda against the group to start delving into the secret society and the truths behind. This sounds like dark academia. UNC isn't that far away. It sounds... Here, let me read the back of this. It says, "When the shadows rise, so will the light. When blood is shed, blood will call. By the king's table, for the order's might, by our eternal oaths, the line is law." Ashley Poston, Danielle Clayton, L.L. McKinney, and Kirsten White all blurbed this, and it just sounds amazing. It's a YA novel. This is the Owl Crate exclusive edition. Again, I'm not an Owlcrate affiliate. If you hear anything on my channel about Owlcrate, I am being 100% honest in my reactions, my excitement, or my disappointment in the books. That being said, I'm really excited to read this. This came in last month's box. The next roll was another TBR jar. I got a lot of TBR jars this time. I'm sorry, guys. And that was, you can't really see this, but it says The Art of Possibility by Rosamund Stone Zander and Benjamin Zander. This is it's a self-help book that encourages people to become better listeners, better communicators, better leaders, and better performers. And I am both somebody who has to communicate a lot for work. I'm really looking forward to reading this. I think that this was a gift from a friend of my husband's. So it's not that long. Okay, the next role was Read a Romance starring a single parent. This is the first of 2 romances on this TBR, which is funny because I don't normally read romances. So I chose the paranormal romance because I'm the vampire. That's why. That centers on a single mom who owns a bakery and is attacked by a vampire and has to. This is set in the town of Broken Hearts, Oklahoma. Yeah, Broken Hearts, Oklahoma, which has the highest rated divorce and highest percentage of single parents in the state. And Jessica Matthews was attacked one night while taking out the garbage, and she woke up sucking on the thigh of Patrick O'Halloran, who was helping her out. So he needs her help. She gets sucked into helping him out. Sucked in. She gets drawn into helping him out to capture a vampire known as Lycan, who might be Patrick's brother, and helping out both Patrick and a paranormal organization called the Consortium. And she has to like go against her. She has to still raise her kids and go against her more baser instincts, I guess, especially when it comes to the hot new vampire that she's helping. Am I expecting a lot from this book? No. Did I DNF the book the vampire romance that I read this month? Yes. Am I going to try to slog through it anyways? Absolutely. The things I do for The next role was Talon's pick. Yeah. And she chose Dies the Fire by Esme Sterling. This is the first in the Emberverse series, which tells the story of a post-apocalyptic world where the change has happened. And the change originally started as an electrical storm over the Massachusetts island of Nantucket, which was and it rippled across the world. This left all electrical devices inoperable and fuels useless, essentially. So it sounds really interesting, and Talon really knows my reading taste, so I'm really looking forward to that. The next role was a memoir, and I chose I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing by Maya Angelou. This is the first in a 7-volume series. This one details her early years and how and what formed her into who she became. I've heard that this book is devastating, but really powerful and is a must read, so I am picking that up. The next book was Will picks. So Will, aka the Viking, is a very good friend of mine and Talon's. He chose Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I bought him Spinning Silver for his birthday, when it was on his TBR, and I am really looking forward to reading this. Agnieszka loves her valley home in a quiet village, but the corrupted wood stands on the border full of malevolent power, and its shadow lies over her life. Her people rely on the cold, driven wizard known only as the dragon to keep the wood's dark forces at bay, but he demands a terrible price for his assistance. Every 10 years, one young woman must be handed over to serve him without question. The next choosing is fast approaching, and as Agnieszka knows, everyone knows, the dragon will choose Kasia, beautiful, graceful, brave Kasia, all the things Agnieszka isn't, and her dearest friend in the world, but there is no way to save her. But when the dragon comes, it is not Kasia he will choose. I have heard some great things about this. I am super duper 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 excited to finally get into Naomi Novik. I've heard nothing but good things about her fantasy books. I've heard she just came out with a new book, A Deadly Education, I think. But I'm looking forward to starting with this one, which is Spinning Silver. It's a little bit chunky, but it comes highly recommended, so. Next is a YouTube pick, and I chose for this something that's been very, very popular on BookTube that I didn't ever think I was going to pick up, but my friend Mason lent to me as one of 3 books he really wanted me to read and review, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuestion. Alex Claremont Diaz is the first son of the United States, and he has this quarrel with Henry, who is the Prince of England. The Prince of England. So they kind of have to do this weird makeup thing because his mom's now the president and Henry is the Prince of England, so his family's royalty. So to kind of make up for this, they have to make nice and they begin to date. And it says, soon Alex finds himself. What at first begins as a fake Instagrammable friendship grows deeper and more dangerous than either Alex or Henry could have imagined. Soon Alex found himself hurtling into secret romance with a surprisingly unstuffy Henry that could derail the presidential campaign and upend 2 nations. It raises the question, can love save the world after all? Where do we find the courage and the power to be the people we are meant to be, and how can we learn to let our true colors shine through? So I'm reading a contemporary romance, and I don't read contemporary or romances very often. Ever. Growth happens outside your comfort zone. I'm going to read this and I'm going to do my best to enjoy it. And hopefully there will be some very cute moments in this. The next role was for Modern Mrs. Darcy's Challenge, and the prompt was a debut novel, and I chose The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This was the group book for Draconathon, and I just didn't get very far into it, and that was my fault. I made it 128 pages in, so a good chunk. This tells the story. This is an African-inspired fantasy about a world where dragons are used as weapons, and magic, and civil war, and discovering who you are, and classism, and racism, and colonialism, and I've been told this is Game of Thrones meets Gladiator, and that this book is heart-wrenching. It's the first in a series. I'm really looking forward to reading it. This is also a very chunky book. I really hope I have a lot of downtime in December and do a lot of pre-filming. The next book is my mom picks. She chose for me The Aeronaut's Windlass by Jim Butcher. I really like Jim Butcher's Harry Dresden series, so I'm really looking forward to this. Since time immemorial, the spires have sheltered humanity. Within their halls, the ruling aristocratic houses develop scientific marvels, foster trade alliances, and maintain fleets of airships to keep the peace. Captain Grimm commands the merchant ship Predator, loyal to Spire Albion. He has taken their side in the Cold War with Spire Aurora, disrupting the enemy's shipping lanes by attacking their cargo vessels. But when the Predator is damaged in combat, Grimm joins a team of Albion agents on a vital mission in exchange for fully restoring his ship. And as Grimm undertakes this task, he learns the conflict between Spires is merely a premonition of things to come. Humanity's ancient enemy, silent for more than 10,000 years, has begun to stir once more, and death will follow in its wake. So it's a steampunk dystopian fantasy series that has a race of cats. And not just a race of cats, no, a race of intelligent cats. Next role is my pick, and I chose Krampus by Brahm. So this is Krampus the Yule Lord. Krampus is a Germanic mythological figure that was kind of the anti-Santa Claus. So whereas Santa Claus or St. Nicholas would come and give presents to the good children, Krampus would come and punish and take away the bad children. He is a terrifying figure in myth, and I bought this book last year when my husband and I first got together for his desk book at work. And it's, let me read this. On Christmas Eve in a small hollow in Boone County, West Virginia, struggling songwriter Jesse Walker witnesses a strange spectacle, 7 devilish figures chasing a man in a red suit toward a sleigh and 8 reindeer. When the reindeer leap skyward, taking the sleigh, devil men and Santa into the clouds, screams follow. Moments later, a large sack plummets back to Earth, a magical sack that thrusts the down-on-his-luck singer into the clutches of the terrifying Yule Lord, Krampus. But the lines between good and evil become blurred as Jess's new master reveals many dark secrets about the cherry-cheeked Santa Claus, including how half a millennium ago, the jolly old saint imprisoned Krampus and usurped his magic. Now Santa's time is running short, for the Yule Lord is determined to have his retribution and reclaim Yuletide. If Jess can survive this ancient feud, he might have the chance to redeem himself in his family's eyes, to save his own broken dreams, and to help bring the magic of Yule to the impoverished folk of Boone County. And the little thing, or there's a little clip here that says, Santa Claus, my dear old friend, you are a thief, a traitor, a slanderer, a murderer, a liar, but worst of all, you are a mockery of everything for which I stood. You have sung your last ho ho ho, for I am coming for your head. I am coming to take back what is mine, to take back Yuletide. The art is beautiful. I don't know if it's illustrated, but the in-page art is beautiful. Oh, it is illustrated. That's nice. A little bit. The in-page art is beautiful. I don't know if you guys can really see that. but it's gorgeous. And I'm really looking forward to kind of a Christmas horror, because sometimes you just need a little sprinkle of horror in the midst of the jolly. The next book is the lowest rated on Amazon, and for me that was Heart of Iron by Ekaterina Sedia, who is a Russian fantasy author. And this is a steampunk book about, says, in a Russia where the Decembrist rebellion was successful and the Trans-Siberian Railroad was completed before 1854, Sasha Trubetskaya wants nothing more than to have a decent debut ball in St. Petersburg, but her aunt's feud with the emperor lands Sasha at university, where she becomes one of the first female students. An experiment, she suspects, designed to prove female unsuitability for such pursuits, then offer them education. The pressure intensifies when Sasha's only friends, Chinese students, start disappearing, and she begins to realize that her new British companion, Jack, has bigger secrets than she can imagine. Sasha and Jack find themselves trying to stop a war brewing between the three empires. The only place they can turn to for help is a heavenly kingdom of great peace, newly founded by the Taiping rebels. Pursued by the terrifying Dame Florence Nightingale of the British Secret Service, Sasha and Jack escape across Siberia via train to China. Sasha discovers Jack is not quite the person she thought he was, but then again, neither is she. The next book is another TBR jar pick. I don't know. And that's I picked Horrid by Katrina Leno. This is a horror book about books. It says, following her mother's death, Jane North Robinson and her mom, Ruth Ellen, moved from sunny California to the dreary, dilapidated old house in Maine where Ruth grew up. All they want is a fresh start, but behind the North Manor's doors lurks a history that leaves them feeling more alone and more tortured. As the cold New England autumn arrives and Jane settles into her new home, she finds solace in old books and memories of her dad. She steadily begins making friends, but Jane also faces bullying from the resident bad seed and struggles to tamp down her own worst nature in response. Ruth seems to be spiraling with a return to her childhood home, but she won't reveal why. Then Jane discovers that the storage room Ruth has kept locked isn't for storage at all. It's a little girl's bedroom, left untouched for years, and not quite as empty of inhabitants as it appears. This is the Algrade edition, so it came with this card, which is an author letter that says, there was a little girl who had a little curl right in the middle of her forehead, and when she was good, she was very, very good. But when she was bad, she was horrid. And that's Horrid. This is the Algrade edition again. It's a gorgeous cover. I'm obsessed. This came in September's box, so I'm actually reading this year's books, which is exciting. And finally, a book about feminism. And I chose Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall, who talks about the fact that many Black women have been left out of feminism because the idea that getting your basic needs met wasn't part of the movement, which this book was also recently mentioned in one of Ashley at the Bookish Realms live shows, and somebody said that they thought this book should be mandatory reading because it is so good. It talks about racism, it talks about feminism, it talks about socioeconomic classism in the United States. It talks about so many important things, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. And that is my TBR for the month of December. There are only 14 books for December. Fingers crossed I can get through them all, because there are some big ones in there. I am really looking forward to the steady mix of nonfiction with traditional fantasy, with horror, with Christmas horror, with steampunk. It should be with dark academia. I am so excited. I'm so excited. I'm going to stop waxing poetic now. You can find me here on Sundays and Thursdays. You can find me on my blog on Mondays and Fridays, mariahsnerdynotes.wordpress.com. You can find me on Instagram occasionally, and you can find me on Twitter most any time at Mariah's Notes or Mariah's Nerdy Notes. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications if you want to see my face in your feed more often. It really does help out my channel. If you are looking for, what are your question of the day? What are your top books to read in December? Are you more of a Christmas reader, or are you more of a, and I'll just pick up whatever on my shelf? I hope you have a safe and happy holiday season, and that there's minimal political talk, and if there is, you change somebody's mind, and if you didn't, I hope there's wine to help you through that. With that being said, all the best. Coffee, wine, and books to you. Cheers.